We are just one day away from officially entering Chimaev versus Strickland fight week, and things are already heating up. Khamzat fired back at Strickland after Sean made comments about potentially shooting him. Khamzat dismissed the idea completely, saying Sean doesn't want a real war outside the cage, and went as far as saying that if he truly wanted to do something, it would already be over. The card itself is stacked with multiple high-profile matchups, and one of the biggest ones outside the main event is the welterweight clash between Joaquin Buckley and Sean Brady. This is a high-stakes fight for the division, with major implications for the title picture. Brady has already started mind games of his own, saying Buckley's recent work with Kamaru Usman won't make any difference when they step into the cage. Buckley, who previously lost to Usman, has now been training alongside him, but Brady doesn't see that as a factor that will change the outcome. With emotions running high and big names across the card, this fight week is shaping up to be chaotic before it even officially begins. Let's hear what Brady had to say about the matchup.
How do you feel about the opponent? When you were offered Joaquin, were you happy with it?
Yeah, of course, I always want somebody ranked higher than me, especially going from where I was before I fought Michael Morales. I was #1 in the world, and obviously I took that fight. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for me that night, but you always want to fight up in the rankings, but I kind of knew this was a matchup that was very possible. I just fought, I lost, he fought, he lost, so we're both coming off losses. It's a good style matchup, so I knew that it was a possibility. Of course, I asked for Bilal, I asked for Prates, I asked for everybody. And they came back with Buckley, which is fine with me. In my mind, I beat him. I get right back on the horse. I'm right back in the winning column, and I'm right back in the race for a very clogged up division still. So, yeah, I'm just happy I have a fight.
Maybe the most clogged division.
After Carlos Prates dropped a bold claim about Islam Makhachev's next fight, saying he believes Islam will face Ian Gary at UFC 330 on August 15th, the MMA community is more confused than ever, as the majority of reporters believe Michael Morales is the frontrunner for Islam's next fight. Morales himself has confirmed that his team is actively in talks with the UFC, and even Islam previously revealed that Morales was offered to him back in the winter, a fight he had to turn down at the time. Carlos didn't stop there. He even said he hopes Gary gets the win, arguing that Gary has a skill set to beat Islam. At the same time, he addressed the criticism around his own chances in a potential matchup, especially after getting taken down by Jack Della Maddalena. The Nightmare pushed back on that narrative, pointing to his BJJ black belt and making it clear he's not worried about grappling exchanges. On top of that, Luke Thomas broke down his chances against Islam, and it's not looking great stylistically. As many fans pointed out, Maddalena was able to take Prates down, which makes the path to victory for Islam very clear if that fight ever happens. Let's dive into Luke's breakdown.
Now, after the fight was over, Prates gets interviewed and says he wants the winner of whenever Makhachev fights next, and he's expecting Makhachev to win. It would seem to me that, in all likelihood, Makhachev is going to be a bad matchup for Prates, because on the feet, do I think Makhachev is going to beat Prates? No, I do not. I think Prates would set him on fire. But I think the ability for him to get the takedown, which was not necessarily that hard for JDM to get, and again, there's a question of how hard at the end of the first round Prates was resisting the takedown, and there was like 30 seconds left. I think he may have been just like, whatever, but I do think the ability for I think Islam will have the ability to get the takedown, and I do think he's going to have the ability to capture the back, and that could be quite decisive. So as much as I want to give Prates his due, and he has certainly owed it, we also have to give Islam his due and recognize that's going to be a very, very tough fight should they end up making it. Again, we'll see what it looks like.
The MacLife reporter Oscar Willis just dropped a big update on Ilia Topuria's stance with the UFC, and it's as direct as it gets. According to Oscar, Ilia has already sent a clear message to the UFC. If he beats Justin Gaethje, he wants only one fight next, Islam Makhachev at welterweight, nothing else. No interim fights, no contenders, just straight to the champ in a different division. Oscar also added another key detail. Even if Ilia goes up and beats Makhachev, the plan would be to move right back down to lightweight afterward. So this isn't about staying at 170 long term, it's about chasing that massive moment and then returning to his division. That idea has already started getting reactions from other fighters. Carlos Prates joked that if Ilia skips the line and gets that welterweight title shot, he might just drop down to 155 himself and go for the lightweight belt. He laughed it off right after, saying he doesn't want to cut that much weight anymore, but the point was clear. Welterweight fighters are worried El Matador may spoil the party. If this actually plays out, it would shake up two divisions at once.
So what happens? Does Carlos Prates just sit out and weight?
Well,
Or do you think
that's where it gets interesting, right? Because Ilia's basically said he's fighting Islam at welterweight or no one. And he's also said if he fights Islam and wins, he's going to still move back down to lightweight. And I mean, when you look at the difference of size between Ilia and Carlos Prates, you're like, yeah, well, that fucking makes sense. Like the UFC love Carlos Prates, right? There was a rumor this year about who they wanted him to fight in July. Do you know what I mean? They really love him. They want to give him some big opportunities. So I can see
that as well as just Islam not being active, right? Like, this guy will probably fight one more time, maybe after July, towards the end of the year or the start of the following year.
I mean, like if Islam fights in August, he's not fighting until the next year, right?
Yeah.
So you get him in February. Carlos could slot in February, but Ilia's going to fight in July, then probably won't fight until next July. Do you know what I mean? It's like their schedules don't really line up that great, to be honest.
Michael Morales just sent a strong message to Islam Makhachev in a recent interview with Spanish journalist Alvaro Colmenero. The undefeated welterweight contender directly called out the champion, saying he is actively chasing the fight and is ready to face him anytime, even on short notice. Morales claimed there have been excuses to avoid the matchup and made it clear he has zero hesitation. He believes he can knock Islam out, stating that knockouts come naturally to him and that he already visualizes finishing the fight that way. Morales also laid out his big long-term plans. He wants to win the welterweight title first, then move up to middleweight to become a double champion. He boldly predicted that he will be a champion in 2026. With Morales seemingly leapfrogging Ian Gary for the next title shot, this interview shows just how confident the young Ecuadorian is. He is demanding the opportunity and believes he is not only the man capable of dethroning the pound-for-pound king, but also the one who can move up and capture a second belt in the higher weight class. Let's roll the clip of Michael Morales calling out Islam Makhachev and laying out his championship plans.
And what's coming? Tell us. How do you think the fight will go? Because if there's one good thing about you, it is that apart from your heavy hand, you're also huge for the division. You're very big, and you have wrestling, which is where we believe, right, that Islam could take the fight.
Yes, I only had the chance to show my wrestling on the Contender Series, and, well, I've changed my wrestling a lot since then. I look very good, and as I said earlier, Islam has done a very good job. He won 2 titles in the UFC, which is something that very few have done, and he's a 100% well-rounded fighter. Anyone who watches his fights knows that his main strength is wrestling, but I'd like to say that I've also prepared very well. I haven't had too much wrestling in the cage, but I also try not to rely on it or show everything inside the octagon if it's not needed, so I don't give away my full game, because otherwise they discover all your tools. I already know what his tools are, as he's shown it a lot inside the cage, and I think that gives me a little bit of an advantage because I know his game, but he doesn't know mine. I will knock him out, and I'm not saying that because I'm cocky or anything. It's just the knockouts come to me naturally. That's what I do, and then I plan on moving up a weight and capturing another belt.
That's it from MMA Psycho. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.